Hi, welcome to this week's astrology report. I'm Jody Sharami at Jody Boots, and this is Astropod underscore cast. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here today. It's super bright and sunny. I hope everyone's having a great day. It is March 7th, and this is the astrology report March 7th till 14th of March, next Friday, when we will be having a huge lunar eclipse. So what's happening this week? Let's get started. Basically, this week, what's happening is that Mercury is going to retrograde next Saturday. There is going to be a full moon eclipse in Virgo, where it is meeting up with the North and South Node. And also, Mercury, as it prepares to station retrograde, is moving very slowly. So it's going to have a meeting with Venus starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday through Thursday. They'll be close enough as Venus is moving very slowly backwards, but Mercury is also moving forward very slowly as it prepares to go retrograde this Saturday. So then we will have Mercury and Venus for retrograde, and Mercury will be retrograding just as the full moon occurs. So March, as we've spoken about many, many times, this is the week that things start to really shake up because the eclipse is here. And eclipses, as you know, is fate, Fate. The nodes of the moon are fate. So whenever the sun is close to the nodes and the moon's close to the nodes, we get an eclipse. And this one will be happening for the first time in the new axis that we have been in now since the beginning of the year, and that's Neptune and Virgo. And Neptune and Virgo are partners in health, every type of health. Neptune, spiritual health, understanding your life health. Virgo, your body health. It rules over your your daily chores, your daily activities. So what's going to happen here is that first off, this weekend is going to be rough also. There are things going on with the outer planets meeting up during this time. That's very pivotal in the way things will be going for us, humans and earthlings alike, and all the creatures of the earth. We're all going through the same type of situation. So the sun's very bright, and that's the thing that's happening this Sunday is springing forward with our clock so that we will be having more daylight time because it has been getting really bright in the morning. Already by 6 a.m., it's already bright outside. So we want to take that light into the after work so we can have more time outside. And as that occurs, the planting season is starting to begin all the way halfway up up USA, but up north it's still pretty cold. I think today might have been around the 50s up north, which is what our nights are like right now, around 50, sometimes in the 40s. But during the day, it gets so warm with the sun so bright as you can see right now. It's so bright that our earth here and our homes hold onto the heat and can heat up our plants also. And so this is the time we grow our cold weather plants, as I've spoken of before. You're looking at the earth through a 3D dimension. You can see the planets around it. And as we get closer to the eclipse, we can see that um, the outer planets are moving right now. So it's moving and having many angles with other planets, especially our personal ones. So the big news of the day is that our time at the end of the Kali Yuga, which is a way of saying the 26,000 year transit of spiritual overturning, flipping it over and starting again. It's starting now. And every 26,000 years, the earth does this. And a lot of scientists are saying that the Earth hasn't turned over, hasn't reversed its vortex. Instead of spinning a certain way, it's going to spin backwards again, and that's coming up. And it hasn't started yet, so everybody's kind of worried, like, why hasn't this happened? It can happen anytime. And it's been proven in the geological studies of the rocks that the Earth has done this because you can tell by the way the patterns in the rock formation is. So basically, with Mercury running into Venus who's asleep, Mercury has a message to tell Venus after his journey through Pluto, the Sun, Saturn, the North Node, Pisces, Chiron. Now it's coming over to Venus. And what is the message Mercury's going to tell Venus? Mercury rules over this full moon eclipse coming up. It is the home in Virgo, Mercury's home, and also in Gemini. And Gemini right now is hosting Uranus. So there's so many connections happening that the last time this kind of happened was in the 80s, the 1980s, when things were starting to get a little confusing back then, when Clinton was in office doing some bad things that has led to other bad things happening in the Oval Office of respect, and our thoughts about politicians have been crushed. Mercury is ruling over this eclipse, and it's taking a message to Venus, who's going back again into Neptune to reestablish again what she was thinking and what it is she truly wants. So nothing can be made quick and fast. Whatever you say, whatever you do, we're retrograding back. And we're also in a situation where we've never been before. This is the very last time that Neptune will meet up with all these other planets as it shifts into Aries. It won't be back again in Neptune for about 184 years. So the last time Neptune was going into Aries, all these planets, except for Saturn, were here, was during the Lincoln inauguration, 1861, I believe. And a lot of that stuff is being revisited in the world. This sense of sovereignty and the rights to my own body, ending slavery. And from what I've heard, Lincoln, or read, Lincoln wasn't trying to take slaves away, but he didn't want the new territory of Kansas to become another slave state. So the Democrats, who were the Southern Democrats at that time, staged a coup in the election for this to happen in Kansas by bringing in fake electors, fake voters, and all these things that's happening now. And so Kansas became a slave state. So when they found out that it was rigged, they took that away and they said, well, I guess we better take all the slaves away now since you're not understanding what we're saying. And that's when the Civil War started. And that's happening again now. And the Southern Republicans now are in charge. And the Republicans back then were the Whigs, and they became the Republicans after Lincoln became president or during presidency. So I think that's going to occur now. I think the political parties are going to change. I think the Democrats need to change. I think the Republicans need to change. I don't think they're actually political parties anymore. I think they're interest groups for lobbyists, both sides. I've been an independent since about 30 years old. It's time to really get to understand your government before you vote for somebody who isn't qualified. So this week, Mercury will be saying to Venus, your values, have you been thinking about your values? Have you been thinking about them? What have you been thinking? And Venus is saying, well, I'm really sleepy. I'm really thinking about it. I'm moving as quick as I can, but I still got a long way to travel. I gotta go back to the 24th degree Neptune. I gotta go back and study and review all that stuff again. So, I'll give you an answer April 18th when I'm fully awake. And Mercury says, well, I'm going to sleep too, starting Saturday. So I'll be joining you backtracking over all these things and we'll have a discussion, okay? So I'll catch up with you when I go retrograde and move backwards because, I'm faster than you. And then we'll have it out and we'll talk about it. And I wake up on April 12th. So I'll get everything ready for when you wake up. And Venus like, thank you. Because, I'm going back in Neptune and, I might stay back there a little bit and kind of hibernate for a little bit longer. So thanks for helping me out. And that's how I see their meeting going starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday into the eclipse season. And Venus is going back towards the sun for her Cassini, where she's going to become a morning star. So right now you can see Venus at night as she nears the sun, nears Neptune, as she begins to go behind the sun, reinvent herself, come back with a new do, a new makeover, and be a morning star and start this journey for the next 2 years where she's doing new things, exploring new things with a new set of values to see how far, what it is that she wants. And then 2 years she'll come, she'll start to retrograde again, and we'll have another chance to reevaluate. And Mercury retrogrades 4 times a year, so this is the first retrograde for Mercury right now, and it is going to be a huge asset for this lunar eclipse. And the other thing that's happening is that Uranus, who's in Gemini, is going to be sextiling and meeting up with the sun and the moon during the eclipse. And according to Rick Levine, it's at the point of Thales. It's at the point of Thales, meaning that it is in such an angle with this that it is going to the tension, relieve the tension we'll be feeling. Because again, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. And so with this help, the moon and the sun can feel a little relief for a little bit and let out a sigh. Oh, okay, I see what I need to do with this eclipse. Let me go meditate on it for a while. And come back and talk again, show you guys some more things. The eclipse is also going to be with the north and south node, so it is a very fateful time in our collective mundane life. It's going to affect us tremendously as we see the governments of the world is in a whirlpool, a cesspool. Keep saying they're going to clear or make better, but they keep adding more to it. And so a lot of people stepped up this time, but they weren't maybe the people that would want peace. Um, but every time this happens in history, it's a turning point for evolution, for humanity's evolution. And the war of words has begun, and it's going to continue probably until next year, is the guess of everyone. And that is because Mars will be moving into Aries next year. And when Mars does that, basically the gates are opened for war. And it's going to start off the Civil War like it did back in 1861. I think that's the right date. And no one's going to believe it. No one's going to believe the war is coming. No one thinks that they're that angry or that they voted for that. But again, people, unless you're on top of things, you're not going to know. When I was younger, I didn't know when war was coming. I wasn't thinking about those things at all. Not until I had kids that I started thinking about the future for my kids. And so that's why I believe that if you have children, it should help you stay connected to what your child will need as they get older. But sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes people just think about themselves. And so that's where we're at, is that a lot of people are thinking for themselves. And that's fine if it's loving yourself. But if it's to hurt other people, it's not fine. And a lot of times, there's some saying that says, Um, if you can love yourself, then you can love others, which is what I'm always preaching. As a Leo, I truly believe that. As a Pisces moon, I strive for that. As a Libra rising, I try to speak to people in that way. I think this turnover is also time for me to say, well, just let it be, let it go, don't address it, because then you're adding fire to it. So we say, well, that's it, that's the door closing on that. And you just walk away from it. And then we do that, it builds up more and more to where we're at this point where neighbors say rude things to each other. There's no sense of civility, which is what civil war means, civility. No civility for your neighbor. So it becomes a civil war, civil suit, civil law case. Because civility is something that is needed when you're negotiating. Love sandwiches are what you need when you're trying to do something by saying something kind and getting to the point, then saying something kind again. These are all tools that we should use as parents for our children. But as you can see, the world doesn't employ these tactics because children also are getting out of control, being rude to teachers. My kid sometimes gets that way and, he gets punished, they take away things that he values that you don't get when you're a rude person. You don't get certain rights when you're a rude person. That's just how it has to be. And you have to do that to your child really young. And it's the worst thing I want to do. I always say it's the last thing I want to do. I hate doing this. It doesn't feel good, but you got to do it. Or else the world gets like this crazy. And social media is a big part of it because people don't understand how to regulate that correctly. And again, that's the hard one for all of us, right? So prepare yourself for this eclipse by understanding that the world wants to help you, the cosmos, the cosmic universe wants to help you evolve, release, and move forward in a more spiritual manner. And spirituality is not religion. Religion is a cult. That's where cults come from. Almost all religion now seems to be a cult because they keep starting wars over religion. The other part that's always fighting is the Middle East, and that is still continuing on in Jerusalem and Gaza. And now Ukraine is being bombarded by Russia because our president of the United States has cut aid to him, to that country, to Europe. Not to just Ukraine, but all Europe. So Ukraine maybe will get in there as a NATO country now because of what our president has done. So there's always a win-win situation if you know what's happening. Things can always happen out well when people don't understand where they're pushing you into a corner. And then you have to come up with some creative ways to make it work for you. And that's where we're at right now is that this moon wants you to reset as the earth comes between the sun and the moon. Reset with the clock going forward on Sunday. Next week, Mercury taking its nap. We're going to feel the retrograde energy already as it hits up with Venus, who's also retrograde. We're going to feel this hard if we don't understand. You must release something. If you hold on to it, it's only going to cause you pain and anger. And that's where we're at in the world, pain and anger. People not understanding you must release things. They can't be here forever. Love can last forever. Anger should not. Hatred should not. Love should take over for that. So I will talk to you next week from Arizona. God bless you. Take this week easy, and I'll be back next week to talk more about this eclipse that's happening. So take it easy. Do a lot of meditation. Do a lot of being by yourself. Do a lot of visualization. Use your energy towards creativity. If you're not using the energy towards your creativity, then use it to meditate, exercise, be an evolved person that understands that the universe is all connected. We're all connected. So when someone's rude to you and you're rude back, you're switching that energy. But in this life right now, I am trying to not do that. It is very difficult with Mars and Scorpio. Scorpio doesn't play by halves. So thank you, and I will talk to you next week.